Please tell me, how did you learn all the things? Because I feel like I missed the new mom orientation. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, my baby slept, blah, blah, blah. And it makes you just think, oh, I must be doing something wrong. The cluelessness, the confusion, nearly all moms feel like that. People just don't talk about it. I'm having these realizations about how important it is to I've had a very mind-blowing, eye-opening, almost life-altering realization that's actually in progress. I think it's so revolutionary for myself. So I'm like, I'm sure this is going to be helpful for other first-time moms, especially. Sorry if I'm talking more softly. My baby's napping. She's getting more and more alert and aware these days. I think it's so easy to not really remember what we're learning along the way. It's really hard to find time to document, to remember what you're learning, what's difficult, the challenges. And so it's easiest to speak to our current situation or something that we've just recently gone through and we can still remember fresh. And I've talked about this before on my channel, but even the newborn stage, you know, right now I'm 14 weeks postpartum with my first baby. Already, like the first 3 months were just a blur. Like so much I went through has already faded in the back of my mind because it was so hard, first of all, for myself. Like I went through a very traumatic postpartum newborn reflux journey. You can watch my other videos about that. But even when I think back on after I graduated college, I just had this passion to like help college students with the things I struggled with. I can look back and be like, oh, I wish I could tell my past self this, you know. But now that I'm a lot farther out of college, I still remember like some key themes and struggles that I went through, but it's not as vivid and fresh. Times have changed, so the things that college students are now struggling with, I can't relate as much to that level of detail, you know, in this generation. Yeah, all that to say is I just want to share with new parents, as I'm going through all this, I'm having these realizations more and more about how important it is to manage our expectations for ourselves, for our baby, for our lives in general. I think it's all about managing our expectations. I'll just tell you kind of what happened today that led me to this. What have I been living in? So I was like in the internet rabbit hole, right? And I came across this Instagram page from a mom. Her handle is Chan with the boys, and she has 3 young boys. One is a baby, 2 are toddlers. She is a stay-at-home mom, and she takes her kids out pretty much every day. It's crazy to me. It really spoke to me, especially because one of my biggest struggles, sorry, my baby is crying. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. She's resettled. We'll see how long this lasts. So I came across this mom's page. It really spoke to me because I've been having so much anxiety these days. I've talked about how I feel like becoming a mom for the first time or a parent, you go through these like obstacles of like, this is the most challenging thing, and you like try to focus on one thing at a time, but it's like once you're over that obstacle or you think you finally have conquered that fear or conquered that mindset, like another issue now like looms over you. It's just a constant journey of like working on these mindset barriers. I feel I'm definitely always thinking now about when other parents before I had a baby told me, yeah, it's like the most stretching, the most growing thing you'll ever go through and most challenging, but also so rewarding. Nothing grows you like parenthood does. I'm just constantly thinking of that because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm only 3 months into my motherhood journey. What am I gonna do when she becomes mobile, when she's walking and running and grabbing everything, when she's a toddler? You know, now that we are parents, we're around other parents more and like observing more, and we're like, oh my goodness, how are we gonna handle that? When I came across this mom's page, I was thinking, wow, she actually shares how she used to be very anxious as a first-time mom with her first, and now as a 3, she's like juggling these 3 boys, she's like posting content, she's able to live her life, and she talks about like the mindsets needed. And I think that's so crucial, and that's actually really what motivates me to continue filming these videos, even though I could be very well doing other things. But I feel like for me, this is just so much on my heart to share. It really is all these like mental obstacles and these realizations, these mindset shifts that help us to navigate all these challenges. And so one of them being, for example, a lot of my anxiety going out, I've recently realized was the messiness, because pre-baby, you don't have to to deal with mess all the time, you know, spit up, poops, blowouts, pee, you know, when they're a toddler, like crumbs and spills, getting in the dirt, getting in mud, playing with rocks, you know, like just so much dirt and messiness. And I know I've talked about this in my other videos before, but I feel like that's one of the biggest things that people don't talk about that is so different. Before having a baby, you are an adult, you can control a lot of these things and not have big messes. Everything's in order and neat and clean for the most part. Looking back on my pre-baby life, it really was so much simpler. And I'm sure I'm gonna say that about my stage now if we have more kids in the future. It's just that, you know, in every season of life, you go through certain obstacles, and it's not to dismiss, like, I'm not here saying, oh, if you don't have a baby yet, it's so much easier, you shouldn't even be complaining. Like, that's not my point at all. It's just to say, I think it's so valid. Like, all of us go through these challenges thinking, like, how are we gonna get through this? This feels so hard. Just seeing other moms, like, further ahead talking about how they were where I am, but now they've like learned through experience and practice and trial and error. You just like grow the confidence as you go, and also the knowledge of what to do, because that's also something that I tend to struggle with. And I've been processing this a lot with my postpartum therapist. For most of my childhood growing up, I harbored this unconscious feeling and belief that I need to know what to do in all circumstances. If I am not prepared, if I don't know what to do, I just go into like panic mode. I mean, there's a lot of like deep-seated roots to that, but I've been finding that coming up so much more in this uncharted territory of motherhood, where I'm like, I've never been around babies. I don't even know, am I doing these things right? That's something I'm continuing to reframe in my mind too, now realizing there is no right way of doing a lot of things. Of course, there's like ways you can optimize and improve efficiencies, which is definitely something that I catch myself always wondering about as well. Let me close the window because there's an alarm outside. Okay, yeah, even like interruptions like this, right? Like my baby waking up or alarms outside. This morning, there was a fire alarm that went off in our whole apartment complex building. And it's just these interruptions I used to be so like frustrated about and like panic, you know, like, oh no, she's not gonna sleep the time that she's supposed to. And, you know, if I'm recording something, do I have to re-record the whole thing? You know, you just learn to adapt, I think, as you go. I just wanted to make a point that I'm talking to myself as I'm sharing with you. Like what I've been trying to tell myself is this is totally normal. Like the adjustments, the realizing, you know, you've had false expectations or getting used to your new reality. All of this is so normal, and not to compare myself with the mom with 3 kids who has already gone through this stage or has gone through her own, you know, maybe other struggles that I can't see behind the scenes. This mom in particular, Chandler, she's so kind. She has like 200,000 followers on Instagram, and so I didn't expect her to reply to my DM, but I just messaged her saying like, thanks so much for sharing about how you go out, because that's one of my biggest fears, is like going out and I don't know what to do, and like what if this happens, that happens, what if I have to go to the bathroom and she's napping in the car, like all these little scenarios, right? You can just like project like what if, just ruminate over all that. And that's what my therapist was saying, like, Grace, there's no end to all the what ifs. I'm just trying to work around that mindset of like, instead of trying to needing to like over prepare for all specific scenarios, how do I balance like, you know, preparing what I think I might need, but then also not over preparing and over obsessing with like, oh, what if this happens, that happens, what do I do, and freaking out when I don't know what to do, because inevitably that's just gonna happen. And this is what happens when you just like learn something totally brand new. You didn't grow up in like a village of moms or siblings or other people who you can observe and learn from. Being a first-time mom, not growing up in that environment is kind of like taking on an important job, like a CEO of a company, and you've never even had an internship at the company or like that job, that industry. And so you're just like completely learning how to be a CEO, what is this industry like, instead of the regular order of like in a workplace. It'd be like, you know, you start out maybe like as a volunteer or intern, and then you like climb your way up like slowly, but you're just like bam, like you're in charge, good luck. And it's a lot. It just makes sense, you know, if you feel overwhelmed. Like I have been feeling overwhelmed, and I'm just like constantly thinking, why am I struggling so much? Why is this so hard? And I just realized it's definitely like a mindset thing, you know. More and more I'm trying to work on intentionally realizing like this is so normal. Don't panic. You're going to keep growing and learning as you go. I can't wait for the day, you know, I'm having so much faith and believing in this before I can see it, but can't wait for the day when I am like that mom mom like 2 or 3 kids, who knows, looking back on these videos being like, wow, I had no idea how far I would come, because that's how I feel all the time, looking back at my old journals, my old videos, and being like, life was so simple back then and she was way too worried about nothing. Chandler told me, because I was telling her I have such a passion for helping other first-time moms, just like sharing my realistic struggles and challenges, because I want to be kind of like that mom friend I need, that people need to hear from. Like, yeah, it's hard, I'm struggling too, you're not alone, it's okay. I'm kind of working through the situation of trying to figure out how to get more physically in person connected with other moms, because I'm still building up the courage to go out with my baby, because I'm like still so reliant right now on like figuring out her nap schedule, her sleep schedule, because she gets so cranky, and then what happens if this or that. And so I'm still learning the ropes. I feel like it's a vicious cycle of like, you're isolated for the most part, unless you're like texting or you have time and capacity to socialize, on virtually. The downside of all the isolation is it makes it even harder to hear from other moms and learn from them and observe them. All that to say, I'm trying to be that mom friend for other people and myself, to just learn and realize it's okay that it's hard. It's like growing pains. Your baby, for example, when she goes through growth spurts, now I realize, oh, she like is fussier. She can see she's kind of uncomfortable with things, and it's because they literally are going through growing pains. And this is the same with us as moms. We go through growing pains, not to see the pain and the struggle as like, oh man, like, why am I not getting everything together yet? Why don't I know how to do this? It's so easy to have those tracks play in your mind, but realizing everything is a phase for your baby and for you. You're just getting used to this new reality when she becomes mobile, when she starts walking and standing and running and putting things in her mouth, and a toddler, and middle school, high school, every single phase, you're just gonna continue to go through the same kind of like mental obstacle challenge, if that makes sense. Okay, it's okay, I'm learning, we're gonna get through this, and it's okay not to know exactly what to do. That's a big takeaway, is just being okay with not knowing what to do, because it's part of the process, it's part of the experience. And so that's what I've been telling myself. And the thing I forgot to mention is, so Chandler told me, because I was like, how do you do it all with the content? Like, I want to continue creating this content for moms. I really appreciate her transparency. She told me she has multiple companies managing her content, like her brand deals, her editing, her posting, but you see all these mom influencers and you're like, how do they do it all? I couldn't wrap my brain around, like, my baby's wake windows are getting longer, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and that's the illusion we all live in, is like, I'm doing something wrong because all these moms can do it all, and you just don't see behind the scenes. They have help, they have hired help. She did share that when she first started out making content, it was just herself before she had a cash flow for her business, so she couldn't hire out, and so she would stay up really late after putting the kids to bed into the night hours editing her own content and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's normal for me to feel like I am strapped for time and I don't know when I can fit everything in, of like cooking, cleaning, editing content, all this stuff. So I just really appreciate when moms are super transparent, and I'm just continually learning. My view of motherhood is so skewed based on what I see on social media. It's okay not to interact with my baby all the time, and I don't have to feel bad about it. That's what we see on social media, all these developmental activities you need to be doing. It's okay if my baby doesn't stick to her nap schedule or doesn't sleep X amount of hours or whatever. Anecdotes that you hear about online of like, oh, my baby slept blah blah blah, and it makes you just think, oh, how come my baby's not sleeping the amount of hours? Like, I must be doing something wrong, and it just takes time. And also, life is not perfect. That's just the truth. Like, things are just not going to go your way a lot of the times, especially as they grow older and the more that you have. Another one is realizing the cluelessness, the confusion, the feeling lost. I'm not alone in it, and nearly all moms feel like that. People just don't talk about it. I posted on my Instagram story like a few weeks back, like, moms, please tell me, how did you learn all the things, because I feel like I missed the new mom orientation and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just now realizing all these things about parenthood that are just skewed. And almost all the responses I got were like, you just learn on the way. And I feel that like that all the time, and that feeling doesn't really go away. And so you kind of just like build your confidence as you go. I hope me transparently sharing all this helps somebody out there. It's definitely a muscle that I'm practicing more, is just sharing my authentic struggles and challenges as I'm going through them versus what I think is so much easier to do. I was more tempted to do this in the past before becoming a mom. It's like, okay, I'm learning the lesson, but I'm gonna wait till like I get to the other side to be able to tell everybody like this is how I did it and this is what I overcame and this is what I would, tell my past self and blah blah blah. And now it's just more like, hey, I'm going through the same thing as you and this is what I'm thinking and processing, but let me know what you think. Let me know what you're learning. I would love to exchange knowledge. And so yeah, if you are a parent, I would love to hear if you're a first time parent, seasoned parent, whatever it is, if you relate to this at all. I'm making these videos, I'm like, I don't know if people understand what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure people can relate. I must not be the only one going through these mindset barriers, of feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do. What am I, how am I gonna get through the future stages if I'm struggling right now? I'm just learning to take it step by step and realize it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Make sure to like and subscribe for more unfiltered first time motherhood content, and I'll see you guys later.